And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Holy shit. I mean, when it rains, it pours. It's unbelievable what we just had to go through to get this show up and running. Guys, I'm so sorry that we started 15 minutes after the hour. God, man. Technical difficulties, computer crash. It was just a whole host of bullshit that I just had to deal with in a crazy panic. Thank you so much, Andrew Zarian, for, actually remoting into my computer to help me out to get this thing off the ground. Guys, if you're new to the program, don't know who I am, why I'm here, this is the first show that you're watching. This is The Bald Truth. And again, I'm sorry that I am so late. Phone number is 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. Coast to coast, worldwide on the internet. And look, this is the Little Hair Loss Show. The hair loss show that's been on the air for 14 fucking years. Which is insane if you think about it, because it's a hair loss show. But you know, the reason why this program has lasted for as long as it has is because, listen, there's 200,000 of you waking up every day realizing for the first time that you're losing your hair. 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. And, you know, this is a silent epidemic of biblical proportions. It is absolutely insane. And we come here each and every week to talk about this issue that society doesn't allow us to talk about. We come here to talk about something that affects our lives in a way that most people who don't have hair loss could never understand. It's very real. It's very powerful. It has a profound effect on our lives and the way we live our lives. But with that said, I always preach this because it's true. There is life after hair loss. If you're looking at me right now, you're probably saying, well, this guy's got some hair on his head. It may look a little funny, a little Trump the early years situation. Andrew seems to be having some problems on the other end, too. This night's just not going well. I should just close up shop and say good night and have a couple of drinks. But, you know, I've been able to save a significant amount of hair using FDA-approved medication. I have a quasi-comb over. It's a little bit of a sham with some makeup. It's a whole thing. But you know what? I'm 47 years old, and because I made the right moves, because I stepped back and chose not to listen to so-called, leaders in the field at the time who wanted to either glue a wig on my head when I had a full head of hair, or suggested that I try a few hair transplants and see how they worked out. If I would have gone that route, if I would have considered a little scalp reduction for the little thinning area on the back of my scalp, I would have been fucked. And that is what thousands upon thousands of guys have done over the years. And I feel extremely fortunate that I somehow had the wherewithal, as young as I was, as naive as I was, as shit scared as I was to deal with hair loss, not to make that move. And because of that, I believe that I've been able to kind of get a perception of things that a lot of guys who are in the initial panic stage, it's hard for them to really comprehend. It's hard for them to say, you know what, let me put the brakes on, let me educate myself, let me figure out what I need to do before I make a move. Because everyone wants just to get fixed. We want to get fixed. We want to be helped. We don't want to deal with this anymore. Once you cross this line, there's really no turning back. You are a different person. But you don't have to be necessarily that much worse off for it. In my case, I feel that I've evolved into a much better person because I had to deal with this. This is what this show is about. It's not just about providing you, we're going to provide you completely objective information about anything and everything hair loss, but it's not just about talking about products and services. It's about talking about how hair loss affects our lives, how we are put in the position that we don't want to be put in by, genetics. And it's not like, when you're born with an issue and you kind of grow up with it, that's one thing. But when you live your life up until the time you start to lose your hair, with a full head of hair, once you start to lose that, once you start to see your appearance erode with your hairline and your self-confidence, it's, for many people, and for me, it was devastating. But we're here to talk about that. And we're here to talk about whatever you need to talk about as hair loss sufferers. 888-659-3727. Let's take Joe from Staten Island.
Okay, now I have something to report to the audience. As I was preparing for tonight's show, I received a knock on my bedroom door. Of course, it's locked. There's my son, Vincent, pen and pencil in hand. So innocent he was, wearing a Santa Claus hat. And he said, "Daddy, you're the best daddy in the whole world. I want to buy you the bestest thing I can for Christmas." He took out his pen and pencil and said, "Daddy, what do you want the most in the world?" And I said, "Vincent, I want an effective hair loss treatment." So he's writing something down. I said, "Vincent, what are you writing down?" He wrote down, "Rogaine 3-month supply." Then he posed a question, "Dad, what do you prefer, the liquid or the foam? Out of the mouths of babes, how sad, how very sad."
My name is Joe from Staten Island.
Excuse me.
Would you like to may I reiterate it? Have you heard it? Excuse me.
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, listen, you have a great kid there. I first of all, he's a little brainwashed. The fact that he said that you're the best daddy on earth is pretty interesting. But I guess he's the only daddy. You're the only dad he knows, right?
Well, as far as I know, man. I'm his biological father, man. I used to have sex years ago, man.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, before you go on, I'm going to let you do your thing. I want to see if we kind of fix things with Joe, if Joe's actually able to hear us correctly. So you guys should all be able to hear yourselves. Joe, can you hear me through Skype now? Oh, Jesus. No, now I can't hear you. So, hold on. Can you hear me now, Joe? All right. So, I think what's happening is you got to change your Skype preferences so that you can actually hear me through Skype. You can hear me. Yeah, but you're getting a 7-second delay. You're hearing me through the show. You're not hearing me directly through Skype. So that's the problem. So do me a favor. Change your Skype preferences to. I'll figure it out. You know what? Let me see if I can get Andrew to contact you somehow. Yeah. So hold on, dude. All right. Joe, so what's happening?
So me and Joe are going to continue the cancer over hair loss debate?
I thought that would be interesting, and also to have Joe on screen with my new Skype setup. But I didn't have time to tell him how to set up his thing. So maybe what he should do is take out the headphones and see what happens. But go ahead.
Well, I hope someday if I have hair, I could be on Skype.
Well, you don't need hair to be on Skype, dude.
Yeah, come on. With a bandage, my surgical mask, that would be interesting too, right?
What'd you say?
That would be interesting too.
I think it would be great, actually.
Well, getting back to my son, he's so brainwashed. He's a very astute person, knows a lot about hair loss. He sees the Rogaine commercials. He actually believes 85% of men will regrow their hair. He quoted that figure to me. He actually believes that. That's how sad it is, the American public, that the FDA lets Johnson & Johnson get away with those commercials. It's beyond my belief.
Well, I mean, what do you want them to do?
Well, put them out of business like everybody else. They're put out of business. Like Dr. Lee, they're attacking everybody. I understand attacking L'Oreal now.
Yes.
I mean, Upjohn's the biggest, whatever the hell it is, Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer, I'm not even sure anymore. I mean, they're claiming 85% regrowth. That's incredible.
Well, it is,
like,
but listen. Clinically, they were able to prove that they were able to get a certain amount of regrowth. And obviously, when you're thinking about regrowth, you're not thinking about, we're thinking about terminal hair. We're thinking about, strong, terminal, visibly appreciable hair. They can give a shit about that. If they're able to grow some extra vellus hair and they're able to document that, then legally they are able to say that this is how it works. Period. It's sad that and that's why it's so important that we're able to educate people here and get this information out to the public. But most people, they'll see TV first and they'll see that ad and they'll say, wait a second, 85%. Holy cow. This shit must be a miracle, especially for the newbies, and they're going to get on it.
Well, if I was a naive layman, like obviously I'm not, I'd go out and buy that stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, now some news before Joe comes back on. Some news to report to the public on the BallsTruth.com. As you know, one of your posters, Kiwi, is reporting that he has inside information to one of his friends on Histogen. Are you aware of that?
Yes. I read that this afternoon.
Well, shall I reiterate it?
Sure, let's talk about it. And guys, I'm sorry if I seem preoccupied, but it was a complete clusterfuck getting the show on the air tonight. So I apologize for that. I will run 15 minutes over because we started so late. Go ahead, Joe.
Let's go an hour. Let's go an hour over. You make up to your millions of listeners. For the delay. I was kidding, but according to your post to Kiwi, he has inside information. According to one of his friends, which I take with a grain of salt, that 80% of the hair loss sufferers are growing 40 to 60% of their hair with Histogen, getting 50 injections 6 weeks, 50 injections post 6 weeks.
Right.
Which in itself is 3 times better than any hair transplant in the world, which is a miracle.
No, but let me ask you this. And Kiwi is a great poster, but how are you able to verify this information?
I'm not verifying. I'm just reporting what he said.
Right.
I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with it. I'm just reporting what this cat said.
And guys, I just want to remind everybody, if you want to actually watch the show in HD, you're going to have to switch over to the Stickcam feed and then go up to 720p so you can see the show in HD. Some of the guys who are watching the UK might not be able to get it. That's why it is defaulted to Justin TV, which is lower quality. So somebody just texted me. So if you want to watch it in HD, go up to the nav bar on top, go to Stickcam, and you'll be able to go to 720p. You have a choice of how you're able to view it, and you can see it in HD. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, well, one piece of news I know before the great Joe Tillman comes back on. Maybe he'll attack me again tonight. I'm not really sure, but a lot of viewers are reporting that nasal crime. You've heard about that?
Yeah.
Is a PG2 inhibitor, sodium, I think chloride. I've lost track. So many things going on every day. I'm so busy, researching. That this is over the counter. It costs about $18 a bottle. You'll buy it in Walgreens. Is an effective PG2 inhibitor. It's used for nasal congestion. You spray it in your scalp. Supposedly, it'll grow tremendous amounts of hair.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it does.
Yeah. All I can say is this. I've been around for.
What people are saying.
I've been around for a long time, Joe, and I have seen so much of this crap.
I know that.
However, I am open to it. If there are guys that are able to document their progress online, they come to Ball Truth Talk, they can document their progress, and if they're doing it in droves, then maybe there's some anecdotal evidence there, and it might be worth giving it a shot. But I just find it fascinating that everyone will do whatever they can to stay away from finasteride. whatever they can. We have a product, we have a drug that we know, at least if you nip it in the bud early, if you start early, early intervention, we know that it works clinically on about 86% of the guys that use it. Extremely effective, life-changing. And they will avoid anything to use it and waste precious, precious time.
There's also that issue that that Joe's wrestling with that I was talking to you about last week. Patient having an experience and then basically being told that it's going to be a very negative outcome before they even are through the first few months of the recovery.
Can you say that again?
Remember, we were talking about this last week. There were a patient was dealing with the same thing that Joe's dealing with.
Okay.
Because he actually went through the procedure
right.
with the clinic, and he's only a few months into the procedure, so he's going through the shock loss. He's going through the doubt and the questioning that everyone goes through a few months after the procedure.
The guy in Brussels. It's about the guy in Brussels. The doctor's in Brussels.
I'm sorry?
The doctor's in Brussels.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's talking to other clinics about what's happened, and he's put into a spiral because these clinics are telling him that he has nothing but a negative outlook to look forward to.
Yeah. And I remember the conversation. I'm getting a little confused because there's one guy that's on the message forums that's complaining kind of prematurely, and then there was a guy that went to another guy in Atlanta who's told something else. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's the one. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, I think it's really unfair. I think that physicians have to kind of step back, no matter what they think, even if they think they have the best technique in the world, they have to think about the patient before they say, you know what, I think you got fucked up. Wait a couple of months and then come to me. That is not in the patient's best interest in my view. Now, maybe in the end, the fact that they'd be able to, communicate with this doctor and find a better place potentially to maybe get repaired. In some cases, I can see, I can see the reasoning, behind why some doctors might think that's reasonable. However, it's not reasonable. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a disconnect between the world they live in and reality of what patients go through.
Yes.
Right, and I bring this up because I'm still pretty upset about it, pretty pissed off actually, and what this does to some individuals is that it can actually send them into a spiral where they just don't want to deal with it anymore. They don't want to deal with anything anymore, including life.
Yes.
And, people just need to think about things before they open their mouth.
Yeah, but this particular guy doesn't think. We know that.
Right.
This particular guy doesn't think. This particular guy goes on the message forums and says what he wants to say, even though he's a great physician in my view. I just think that it's really bad policy. And hurt. These people are being hurt. These guys, they went out, they just spent, $10,000 or whatever they spent on cosmetic surgery because they felt they needed to do this to feel better about themselves, to feel comfortable in their own skin, to move on with their lives. And then they may not have had the best experience in the world, or they think they haven't had the best experience. And then their biggest fucking fears are confirmed by someone they consider to be an expert.
Yeah.
In a very premature fashion. So I mean that is maddening, and it definitely gets me upset. It definitely.
Well, I've counseled this guy extensively, and I've got him realizing that time is on his side, and that things probably won't be nearly as bad as he's been told. It'll probably be pretty good, in fact.
Right.
And that he just needs to keep a positive outlook because he'll be in a much better position 4, 5, 6 months from now, and it's working. He's feeling better. He's doing better, and I'm just grateful for that because I think this happens a lot more than we realize, and these guys that are affected like this don't have someone to really turn to, to talk to him about this.
That's
and
right. And sometimes they turn to these experts, it's other doctors, and they're like, okay, they see them, they're vulnerable prey.
Yeah.
And these fucking guys aren't thinking, or their reps aren't thinking. I see some of the shit that some of these reps are writing, and you guys are out there online. You are a physician representative, but this one particular doctor's rep comes on the site, and it's all about, in my view, jockeying for position. It's all about making everyone else in the industry look less than, instead of just showing your work and saying, you know what, this is what we're able to do. There's no need to bash other techniques. There's no need to do any of that stuff. And it's one thing when a doctor comes out and says, this is why I think our technique is better, but when the reps come out and do it, and the reps are just, most of these reps are not like you guys are Spex. You guys are really experienced guys who are in the trenches. This latest guy that just came out, the stuff that he's writing, I'm thinking to myself, holy shit. He's basically just parroting what his boss is telling him.
Exactly. He's repeating sound bites that he overhears during other discussions. And, I've said this from the beginning. When I first started in this field, if you got the work, show it, and let that do the talking, right? It's one thing, like you said, to state your opinion about this technique or that technique, but it's another thing entirely to put that same reasoning in every single post that you make.
Yes.
That it's just it looks and reeks of desperation as far as I'm concerned, and I think it's just bad for everyone.
I agree. I think it's bad for everyone. I think it's mostly bad for the patient. I don't understand it, and I've spoken to this particular person about it in the past. It's like, you know what? They don't give a shit. They really don't give a shit. Now, I see that we have another call on the line, and I think this guy wants to talk to you.
To me? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, Spence, it's Spex. How you doing?
Spex, what's happening, man?
Hey.
I'm good. I'm good. Hey, Joe, how you doing, buddy?
Good, mate. How you doing, man? What's new in London?
Not much. Everything's the same, although it's fucking about -10 at the moment. It's absolutely freezing over here. But I was intending to call in briefly just to say hi, because Spence told me you were on the show, but meanwhile, 2 hours in, what's going on with the show, big guy? Mate, I tell you though, we had some teething problems when we set up our Skype feeds. I know what it's like, it's frustrating. But I don't think people understand how unbelievably complicated it all is to coordinate everything. I felt for you. I could see you getting a bit stressed out.
I was like, this is a bad week to stop drinking. That's what I was thinking to myself. Normally the show starts at 5. I think you actually thought it started at 4 our time. It actually
man, I dropped the ball. I was ready. Well, I thought, you know what? Anyway, I won't bore you. The point is, brilliant. Great to see you, Joe. Great to hear you and everything. Shame you didn't get your Skype feed hooked up. I'm sure Spence and you can sort it out. It'd be brilliant. It's a great feature for the show, and it's going to be fun moving forward if Spence can do that with you regularly.
Well, Spex and I actually did a recorded show the other day, which we're going to be putting some segments up online. And, we were testing the feed. I had the opportunity to speak to a big UK celebrity and have him on the program. And I got to tell you, man, we worked out those kinks. It was flawless, man. And I have
to. It takes time, though, doesn't it, Spence? It takes time. We had to run a few tests. So I felt for Joe there, because that was like me at the start. Well, not even the start, like a few sessions in. So don't worry, it'll all get ironed out. It's like you were trying to explain. It's all in the settings. Andrew's pretty savvy. He'll get you airtight.
The difference is that you guys are being recorded. I was live, so I
know. I felt for you, bud. I felt for you.
Yeah, but honestly, it's on my ass. It's on my shoulders. I'm the one who's putting the show on the air. I'm the one who's like, okay, let's set this up, and it's like it's not working. My computer crashed. It was a mess.
Yeah. I saw that comment of that guy in the chat saying, fucking this show is crap. It's like, come on already. The guy's doing his best. Unreal. But listen, all good. Hey, Joe, your comments at the start of the show with regards to clinics using your pictures, just unbelievable. Yet again, Hassan and One pictures poking up everywhere on different people's websites. I hope you get them, buddy.
I'm about to go after them. We'll see how it works out, but I'm sure they'll be taking it down soon, whether they like to or not.
Yeah, good, man. All good.
Yeah, but
what's happening with you? Are you all well? Are you well? Are you everything good? How's life treating you? Busy UK trip, hey? Busy European trip.
Busy European trip, busy UK trip, and it was another one of those cases where the moment we landed, we were running and just seeing so many people. I was telling Spencer the other day that I think in Rome or in Italy alone we saw, I think it was 120, 130 patients over the course of 4 days, and then in the UK we saw, in the pancreas area there of London, we saw, over 2 days we saw about 60, maybe 70 patients. And or
my God, buddy, you must have been blowing out your backside. Jeez, that takes some doing. Fair play. Well done.
I relaxed by hitting the Brixton, saw a show, and had some pints with David and relaxed.
With Garageland, how's he doing? How's his hair doing? Looked great last time I saw him posting pictures. Is he looking good?
Yeah, looking
Fantastic.
Good, doing good. Yeah, absolutely.
What an amazing repair job that was you did on him, hey?
Yeah, Dr. Hassan really knocked that one out. It went past almost 5,000 grafts. Great repair.
Well, here's the good news. Something did work. Our UK call-in line worked like a charm. So.
So Spex is calling on the UK line.
Spex is calling on the UK line.
Very nice.
So everything is good.
We've got that all set up. But hey, listen, guys, I'm going to let you roll. It's 2 a.m. here, and I need my beauty sleep. I'm sure I'll speak with you guys really soon. But listen, Spence, I'll hook up with you soon, and looking forward to the show, and looking forward to getting those segments out with that guest we interviewed. And just to let all the listeners know as well, obviously, I'm sure you will, Spence, we're pushing the show back a little bit, and I'm sure you'll explain why. But hopefully, guys, in the upcoming weeks, we've got some really exciting stuff and some potential, another couple of great, well-known names hopefully coming on the show. So really looking forward to it, and really appreciate Spencer asking me to help get involved over here and educate these UK guys. And Joe, it'd be great if you can call into the show as well, because no doubt we'll have some UK Hassan and One patients on over time, and look forward to hearing from you.
Well, I appreciate the invitation, and I want to say good luck with this. Congratulations. I think I was telling Spencer the other day on the phone that this is a fantastic opportunity to really get some quality education to the UK guys, because the time is ripe. It's a perfect timing, I think, and it's going to do really well.
And just to let you guys know, we actually are starting the broadcast on, let's see, it's going to be... So we decided to change it. We were going to do it Tuesdays before this broadcast, but we decided, Sunday might be a better night, not only for both Spex and myself, but it may be a better night to launch the show. I mean, when I launched The Bald Truth originally, obviously we had it on Sunday nights for a very, very long time, and I think it might be good luck, and I also think that there's a lot of people home on Sunday nights, so I think it's the perfect time. So we're going to start actually the first Sunday of January, which is January the 6th. So all you guys who are tuning in now, who are up till 2 o'clock in the morning watching the broadcast, you'll be able to have your own broadcast, 8 p.m., I guess it's GMT time, right?
Yeah, it's called Greenwich Mean Time, so right. GMT, yeah, basically, that'll be 8 p.m. UK time, but gosh, I've just realized how brutal again it is for UK guys to stay up, to listen into the show. I was literally about 11:30, and I'm waiting for the wife to get home because she'd been out all night. I'm thinking, hey, you know what, I'm going to stay up another half an hour, listen to the show, drop the ball, realize it wasn't till 1 a.m. Right. And then the show's got kind of, all shit's gone on with the show, which has pushed it to now. So listen, I am seriously going to have to go and get some sleep. I've got twins that are going to be up in 4 hours.
All right, man. Well, listen, thanks for the call. We'll talk soon, all right?
All right, buddy. Joe, take care, buddy. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Spence. Cheers. Have a good night.
Bye, man.
Get
Bye.
some rest.
Take care. 888-659-3727. Okay, things are starting to run a little smoothly now. Let me pot up Joe from Staten Island, because I know he's probably pissed that he wasn't on the air, but I couldn't get all three of you on simultaneously. Joe.
Yes, hi.
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 I want to ask a question, Joe, if you don't mind, about hair transplant surgery. One thing still perplexes me. Can I ask if you don't mind, Spencer?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm being attacked by a Reese there, but that's
Are you going to ask me about temple hair?
Yeah, I'm always wondering why. No, seriously, I'm serious about this.
Yeah.
My temple areas are virgin, and my sideburns are virgin. Why can't the surgeon use that? At least, I'd say, in my professional expert opinion, 2,000 to 3,000 grafts out of that. That's what I don't understand.
Joe, I've told you before that they can be used. There's no reason why they can't be used.
The wise doctors I've seen, great doctors, Spencer sent me to, said they can't be used.
Well, it depends on who you've been talking to, and quite frankly, it depends on what kind of hair your temple hair is, or your sideburn hair is. I mean, are you talking about literally the sideburn on the side of your face?
The sideburns in the temple region in front of my ear. It's very thick, it's very curly.
Yeah.
And it grows so fast, it's like unreal.
Well, look, a lot of doctors would probably be hesitant, as would we, simply because this hair can be subject to DHT. It can thin, which is why you have patients that have what we call retrograde alopecia, where they're thinning from the bottom up on the sides. You may or may not. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's extremely common. Now, the other reason why they may not have touched it is because they might be strip only. But you have all these guys throwing beard hair on people's heads with varying degrees of success, I guess you could call it. And yeah, I mean, if you take that route the way that they've done it, then there's no reason why you can't use it. To what degree of success you'll have, I can't even begin to tell you, because it depends on who's doing it, punches they use, how much is used. I mean, a whole litany of issues go along with that.
Right, but in my expert opinion, any improvement is better than no improvement. Am I correct about that?
Well, Joe, there's also the issue of your donor zone. You've had the punch grafts in the past, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a healthy amount of proper donor scalp hair used to camouflage and give you some coverage. We've done it many times. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've had guys come through that have had even a few hundred punch grafts taken out of the back and the sides. We take out a strip because they still have virgin laxity since they've not had strips. And in turn, we're also removing a bunch of that punch scarring from the donor zone. They may not get as much hair as someone that's a virgin scalp, but many times I've seen 2,500 grafts, 3,000 grafts, and some pretty nice transformations. Yeah.
I've had
one patient of ours from South Carolina. He came several years back, 200 some odd plugs, and he was turned down by just about every name you can think about. I saw his case online. I went to Dr. Wong. I said, "Can we help this guy? I mean, he really needs some help. Let's try it." He said, "Okay, let's do it." So contacted him. He flew out. We did an assessment. 3,000 grafts. Made him look like a new man. Came back a year later, got 3,000 more. And it worked wonderfully. He actually sent me a letter saying for the first time in 17 years, he was able to take off his hat.
Well,
at the beach,
450.
Where he lives.
At the beach. Well, I had 450 grafts done, your 4mm plugs. A lot of them taken from a non-permanent area, so actually maybe say 350 good one. So maybe if I see you, I could be helped.
There are, potentially options that you can explore. I mean, I've never seen your pictures, Joe, and I asked you to send them to me before, and you never have. I'd love to share it with the docs.
Pictures are very deceiving, Joe. You know
that. Not if you take them the way I tell you to. This is my area of expertise, Joe. Is photos. I can tell you how to take them to where they'll show the real deal.
Well, I have pretty good hair transplants on top. The only problem is they're never getting any longer. They stay the same length for 30 years. I told you that before.
Yeah.
I mean,
how long do they grow?
About 3 inches. Stay the same length. They never fall out. They replaced, obviously, but they stay the same length.
That's a usable length. That's a useful length. So if you have a lot more around there that's the same length, then it makes a big difference.
Right, but the donor area which was taken from grows like wildfire. It grows half an inch a month to 3/4 of an inch a month. That's what I can't possibly comprehend.
You know what? Maybe it has something to do with the procedure that you went through. Maybe it did damage those hairs to where they just can't grow very long. But regardless, the point is there are potentially options for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Joe
you're never going to
doesn't
find that option unless you get up off your ass and go look for them.
Yeah, Joe doesn't think that there's any option for him because honestly, Joe will not move on with his life until he has a full head of hair.
Well, especially, no, I don't even follow. I've been to several IAHRS surgeons. Like, they said they could help me, but they don't believe me when I tell them my head is getting longer. No one seems to believe me. They think I'm lying or I'm psychotic or something. They don't seem to believe me. Or they make up something like that.
Well, I know that you told that to Feller, and he was questioning it, and I know that Bernstein was questioning it, and they may have been questioning your sanity as well. I don't know. They didn't tell me about that.
I'm sorry. What was the issue?
Claiming that his hairs don't grow. His grafts haven't grown. They've stayed the exact same length for 30 years.
I've heard this before.
Have you heard it before?
I've heard this before.
Oh, really? So you're an announcement of it.
I think it's the same reason why some hair just doesn't grow past a certain length.
Well, but the thing is, it grows. Basically, it just doesn't have a long lifespan.
Yeah.
He's claiming that the hair doesn't shed and just stays attached to his head the same length for 30 fucking years. That's what he's claiming.
The top hair, but the donor area grows like wildfire.
So in other words, you've never had this hair cut in 30 years?
On the top, no. On the sides and back, I cut my own. I've had a haircut in 35 years. My hair in the back and sides, Joe, grows about 3/4 of an inch a month. I'm not exaggerating. It grows like wildfire.
No, I don't doubt you a bit. That's not uncommon. But I want to clarify. You're saying that the hair on top of your head, not once in the past 30 years have you cut it, and it has not gotten any longer than it is now. It's been the same length for 30 years.
That's correct. I'm not kidding. I have no reason why would I lie about it. There's no reason why about it.
Are you one of these people, Joe, that when you wash your hair, you're like super, super careful with it?
Very careful. I wash my hair once a week or twice every 2 weeks, and I don't touch it until it dries.
Yeah. I've actually, on a much shorter time frame, I've seen this before.
What is the reason for? I mean, obviously it was done properly. I mean, the hair wouldn't grow if it was severely damaged. It would never have grown out of the plug. Am I correct? Or has it just been scar tissue? It wouldn't grow.
Well, it's like this. Usually if there's a dead hair stuck in the scalp for so long, it would develop scar tissue around it because the scalp would start going through the rejection process, right? Just like it would with any foreign body. Excuse me. I've seen this in, like I said, in cases of a much shorter time span of months, not 30 years, but where patients have been so delicate with their transplanted hairs that they grew to a certain length not grew to a certain length, but the hairs never got a chance to go into the shock phase because the patient was extremely delicate to the point where they didn't want to touch it, just like you. And so the hair didn't have a chance to fall out because it wasn't, knocked out, so to speak, and it just sat there. We've had patients. I had a patient come see us from Australia. He said, I don't understand. My transplant didn't work. What can you guys do to help me? And we sit there. We're just pulling the hairs out because they're dead hairs.
No, that's what I'm saying. This has been the same for 30 years. They grow. I mean, obviously, they're being replaced for 30 years. I've gone through 6 or 7 cycles, maybe 10 cycles, right?
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah, at least.
Still the same length. They
Well,
don't pull out, Joe, but they go back.
Guys.
It is a great mystery, Joe. I'm not. I'm barely 43, so obviously I wouldn't have experience with anyone else that's had that. But one thing I'll do, I promise, I'll pose this issue to the doctors, see what they say. See if they've heard of it.
I would appreciate that. I mean, if your doctors could help me, I'm sure that, Spencer knows that you get a lot of publicity on that. I'm not expecting miracles, but any improvement would be, acceptable to me,
Well, I can understand that, but
Joe, listen, Joe, guys, before I fall asleep.
Publicity aside, I mean, that's not an issue. It'd just be nice to be able to put some closure to this for you somehow.
Listen, Joe, I want you to get help, Joe, and that would be awesome, and I'm all for it. But you told me that you wouldn't be happy unless you had a pretty full head of hair. So what's the change of heart?
If I can get an improvement, I have so much hair on the back of sides, it makes me sick how thick it is. I always have to cut it like twice a month, and it makes me nauseous how thick it is. I mean, it's like useless to me, the hair on the back and sides. I need it on the top. It aggravates me how thick it is on the back and sides.
All right. You know what? I would love you to do this. You can put like a mask on your face. We'll get you on Skype when it's fucking working. We'll test it this time, and we'll take a look at your donor area, just so the world can see what you're dealing with.
Well, Spence, you know it's very deceiving pictures. You know that. You're the top expert in the world.
Not pictures. We'll get you on video. I'll have one of the doctors drive out to your house in New York. We'll put you on video. Yes. In Staten Island. Put you on video, let him comb through your hair, and give an assessment for the world to see.
How much? What do you pay for that?
You're not going to have to pay anything for it.
I'm only kidding, Spencer. Dr. Cole examined me. He seems to think I suffer from a psychosis more than anything else.
Really? No. That's bizarre. I would never have guessed that. Listen, Joe, you said that I know you had some appointments that you had to deal with. I don't want to keep you on if you have to go.
I got another few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't say, by the way, Joe, again, I'm sorry about your friend with the cancer. And I want to say, by the way, I consider you to be a very handsome boy.
I'm sorry? Excuse me?
I consider you're a very handsome boy. I have to say that, Joe.
Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that.
I hope there's no hanky-panky going on at Spencer's house. I've heard rumors about that.
You have heard absolutely nothing.
Hanky-panky? What kind of hanky-panky?
Would you Spex and Joe Tronic? I don't know. I've heard rumors about this. I've got emails on this.
You've got emails on this. Who's emailing you this?
I'm kidding. I'm making a joke.
I'm just curious. Because I do have the video, so I'm just wondering if it got out somehow.
I'm just joking. Oh, wow. How good was it? Who came to the conclusion first? Joe Tronic or you, Spencer?
Oh, you see now, but you guys are talking about sex. I'm talking about just having fun. You're sick, dude.
You're right about that, Spencer.
It's very interesting to see where everyone's mind goes.
Yeah.
When you talk about that. That's good.
All right, Joe. Listen, man, we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna take some phone calls also. Joe Tillman, did you want to hang out for a couple of minutes, or do you want?
I can hang out for a couple of minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break, Joe. You could hold on to 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. Guys in the chat room, you guys hang out in the chat. You have questions. You should feel free to call in. This is a talk show. The chat, I'm glad that you guys are in the chat. But if you have questions, feel free to call in. That's what we're here for. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. We'll be right back after this.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Any of you that have ever felt stepped on, left out, picked on, put down, whether you think you're a nerd or not, why don't you just come down here and join us, okay? Come on.
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Just experimenting with some new stuff, trying to get some more video in there, doing it on the fly, and, we'll see if it works out. 888-659-3727. Let me pop up the phones. I know I have Joe. Tillman has been holding on. Joe, sorry it took a few minutes. I had to take that break.
No worries. No problem.
And obviously, Joe from Staten Island's on the line, and we have a full board, so we're going to take some calls. Joe, do you have a couple of minutes to take a phone call?
Certainly.
Okay. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, Spencer?
Yes.
How you doing? This is Tony from Philly.
Hey, Tony from Philly. What's happening, bro?
Not much. I just... I haven't, listened to the show in a while, and I was doing some research. I was like, let me look to see if there's any new revelations out there on hair loss. And I was reading some stuff, and I just had a call because I'm just so disappointed at this point. I was like excited about trying to get like a hair transplant, and then I guess I just hit this wall of like realization that I just don't really feel like there's anything out there right now that's any better than that was out there 5 years ago. And I'm not saying from a hair transplant perspective, because I just ruled out hand transplants from the cost and the fact that I would still have to take Propecia and stuff like that. But I'm just absolutely frustrated with, the lack of information out there, the lack of valid results, like proven results. Like I really feel if there was really something close that it would be, people would show pictures, you know what I mean?
Well, I just want to say this, and I understand your disappointment, and I don't, what are we going to say to that? But I do know that at least there have been doctors who have contacted me and some of the guys that are involved in research who have actually told me that they're probably going to pull back on participating online, getting images out there online, because of all the craziness that happens in the message forums. And I think that's really sad. I really think that's sad because there's guys like you, Tony, who want this information. There's guys like you who are normal, who would take this information, digest it, good, bad, or indifferent, and say, okay, you know what? They're not completely there yet, but they're working towards this treatment. We're getting closer. A lot of these doctors and scientists now are getting a little gun shy because of what's been happening in the forums, especially in the last year. And, where else is the information going to go? They'll publish their papers and they'll get the stuff out there, but you're not going to get any real, backroom insight, so to speak, like we were getting before. I'm working on a couple of guys to try to get some more information on baldtruthtalk.com, but they are a little resistant. And I hate to have to break the news to you guys about this, but I kind of warned you that this is what's going to happen if the bullshit continues in the message forums, but that's what's happening. So for guys like you, Tony, who, you're a normal, rational guy, you've called the program many times, you were considering surgical hair restoration, and you, I don't know if I talked you out of it, but I kind of wanted to give you the reality of what can possibly occur if you weren't fully prepared and understand the entire scope and possible pitfalls. And that education, in part, I think, helped you to make your decision not to move forward. But, I don't necessarily think in your case that was a bad decision, at least from what I remember. But I certainly understand your frustration, man. I really do.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with you. Like, you're bringing a bit of truth to probably one of the most, I don't know if the word corrupt is correct, but
it's pretty corrupt. I'd say it's corrupt.
Yeah. You do a great job of giving the correct information, the information as truthful as possible. But when I look, it almost seems like, even as much information as you have to you have to highlight the smallest of progress, right? And
yes.
What I just come to the conclusion of is that when I look out there, it's if somebody really had something, they would show more definitive pictures and proof and evidence, and it's and the rest of it is just words, I'm yet to see a picture that I really said, wow, that's evidence right there. And I don't think I've ever seen it.
Well, I have, but, it really depends on what you consider to be evidence, There's these macro photos that show hair growth. There are, photographs that show, a monicum of results, but are they wow results at this point? We haven't seen a lot of those. But, Joe Tillman is, he's a guy that's in the trenches. And just like everybody else, Joe's been waiting for the Holy Grail as well. And, Joe, what's your take on things?
It's Tony. I understand your frustration, and I want to say that if what Spencer has been telling you in the past, and forgive me for not being privy to your case and knowing what your situation is like, but if he gave you information that educated you and you decided not to have surgery, then that's great, because surgery is there for people that are educated and have gotten to the point where they're ready to take that step. And if you're not ready to take that step when you know all the facts, then that's fine. I think there's nothing wrong with not having the surgery, and this is coming from a guy that's had 6. Okay, but when it comes to these treatments that are out there, the different announcements that we hear every once in a while, and then the same old companies that are announcing the same bullshit every quarter or what have you, it can be very deflating if that's what you've been waiting for. Because ultimately it's the same stuff. It's the same news over and over and over again. And I read these forums all the time, and I see where people are saying, well, this is going to be around the corner, or this company is the best because of what they're doing, when ultimately no one knows what the hell they're talking about, because if they did, then they would have to have inside information that no one else has. Right? And it's frustrating.
That's a good point, because I say that all the time. These guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Listen,
no, they have no clue.
I am kind of stuck in a unique situation, because the message forums are really there for people to communicate and learn and share from each other, and just be a part of something, and be able to talk to other people who are dealing with the same issues. However, there's a lot of misinformation on there, even on my forum, that's being, perpetuated by guys who are just kind of obsessed with, the science of hair loss, and I understand that, and with kind of just, getting their point across or whatever. We can't stop that, because if we do, then we're kind of stopping this flow of information, stopping their ability to kind of express themselves, and as long as they're expressing themselves normally, within the parameters of being reasonable and being quasi kind to each other and not being completely out of line, then we allow it to happen. But with that said, I read some of this stuff, I'm like, God, these guys are talking out of their asses, like they know, like they have some sort of inside information when they don't, and they get guys like Tony and other reasonable guys really excited about something that might not be happening for another 5 or 10 years.
And I always put it like this, and you said it exactly the way you should have. I mean, these guys are making comments that, rational people that may not be in the forums quite as much, they might see it and start losing their minds, like, oh my God, it's here. But the fact of the matter is this: until you see every news channel, every cable outlet suddenly go black and go to a news report of breaking news, cure for hair loss found. Until you see that in the cover of every major magazine, every major newspaper, then you can count just about everything as being bogus.
Yeah, listen, and there's this Indian guy that has come out recently that some guys posted about on all the message forums. And now he's posting on a few forums. He actually, we invited him to speak with me. My mods contacted him and said, listen, there's a protocol. You can't just come on the forum and start, basically, for lack of a different word, pimping yourself. And if you want the ability to kind of get your message out there, I'd be more than happy to speak to the guy, and more than happy to interview the guy and see if, in fact, what he's claiming, which is hair stem cell multiplication, if it makes any sense, we'll get it out of him. I have no problem getting him out there. He hasn't, responded to our offer to speak with him directly, or for me to speak with him directly. And to me, that kind of raises, you kind of have to look at that with a jaundiced eye. However, he's willing to post on some of the other forums because he kind of was able to get himself in there. And a lot of these guys are so desperate, no matter what these people dig up about this particular doctor, they're still hoping against hope that he's offering something that the rest of the world, let alone the first world countries, are offering. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Joe had brought up a point to where, like, if it came out in, like, all the news forums and, you saw it, like, then you would know that it was legit, like, you know what I mean? But, like, I got to be honest with you, like, I can remember back in 2007, like, and I was done with hair loss. Like, I was losing my hair, and I was finished with the thought of there ever being, like, a cure for it. But when I first saw, like, Dr. Katsouras on, like, Good Day America, which to me is it's kind of a reputable show, and he's a doctor, and they asked him, like, specifically, like, how long do you think you can bring this thing to market? This is 2007. He said 4 years. And he, this is a guy who's a doctor in the University of Penn. It's like he had to know that wasn't true at the time.
You also have to understand that there's stockholders involved, and these guys are being optimistic. Was it possible? Was it possible at the time that it could have come to fruition in 4 years? Yeah, there's a possibility. There's also a possibility that I'm going to get hit by lightning today. That's fucking possible. So it's not as though he was lying. There was a possibility, but it's not as sexy to say it's going to happen in 20 years.
Yeah, that doesn't get people excited. It doesn't get people buying the stock either, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's to me is somewhat. I guess they just don't have. They don't. He might not have had his finger on the pulse of, like, maybe what people were going through at the time when he makes a comment like that. But if you were to make a comment about, like, you're going to have a cure for like a cancer in 4 years, I think people would probably criticize you harshly for making that type of comment.
That's actually a really valid point, and that makes a lot of sense. I don't think that anyone who is in oncology, anyone who's in cancer research, would actually say that. They would be a lot more guarded with their words, because the fallout would be a lot more stern, a lot harsher, and it would be a big issue. This is just hair loss. It's always kind of like a side story. It's like it's never a big deal. It's almost a joke. They always play the same theme from.
It's not plugs anymore.
Yeah, it's not plugs anymore. The same tune from Hair, the Broadway musical, and it's always the same bullshit you see in the media. Yeah. But meanwhile, we have this community. We know what goes on here. We know how many people are suffering in silence. But when that cure does happen, Joe Tillman is right. I mean, basically everything will turn cable news. Everything will turn black. Everyone will be in the media will be clamoring to get the story, to get it out there, and they'll be going over and over again. I mean, but I will tell you, man, people will be screaming and singing in the streets. It'd be like the end of World War II or something. It'd be bigger than that.
I honestly think that there will be chaos generated from the actual cure or whatever comes out looking like a cure. Men leaving their wives, third mortgages being taken out.
Oh, yeah.
Banks being robbed.
Absolutely, man.
Muggings in the street.
There's going to be guns and hookers and fire trucks. It's going to be crazy.
Hookers and blow up for everyone. That's
right. That's right. It's going to be absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
But,
I'll be right there.
And I want to see it in my lifetime. I want to see it in my relatively young lifetime, because you guys may not think I'm young, but 47 years old at this stage of the game, where we're living today, it's not that old anymore. So I still think that I have a few good years left. I would love to live my life while I'm still relatively young without a comb over. I would love that.
Spencer, the 40s are the new 30s, and as far as I'm concerned, I agree with it. And when we're in our 50s, that's the new 20s. It just keeps going, opposite direction as far as we can.
And then when you're in your 80s, you don't remember shit anyway. You have, a little dementia, and you're 17 again.
That's full circle, because you're dropping a load in your pants and
that's right,
drooling and
calling some Jamaican woman mommy. So that's what happens to us, man. So
that doesn't happen now. Okay. Shit, I need to make a phone call. Sorry.
Hey, listen, man, dude, and I haven't heard you calling for a long time, Tony. You all right? Besides,
yeah, Yeah, I mean, I kind of, stumbled upon some, every once in a while, because I was actually torturing myself with looking at the stuff every day, looking for new news. So I was like, I made a conscious effort. You know what? I made a decision because I'll be honest with you, probably the most wow stuff I've ever seen was some of the hair transplants that I saw on, the site that Joe works for and others. I mean. But just with the the fact that I still have to contain the hair loss that I have, even beyond when I get the transplant, that's what discouraged me. Having to use Propecia with the side effects, whether or not they're true or not, I just don't want to take that chance.
And you know what? I think that's a smart decision. I always tell people, having to deal with this, having the surgeries, I didn't have surgery. I'd rather spray my hair so tight and have paint on my head than be concerned about going through surgery and having shock loss at this stage in my life. I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. I may say, you know what? It's time. But I avoided it because it wasn't for me, and something that I just didn't think that, I'm a little bit neurotic. I really am. How would I have dealt with shock loss? I don't know. It may have kind of put me over the edge a little bit. It could have put me into a little bit of depression. And believe me, I can have anybody, the best doctors in the world, perform my surgery for free.
Make no mistake, you're lucky you have a security gate.
Yeah.
Because when I was down there, I thought about putting you in a burlap sack and pulling you back up here, but the damn security gate, damn it.
They stopped you.
Away.
Yeah, but I mean that's just honestly, man. I mean, for some guys, it's a tremendous option. That's why I think it's so important that we are able to kind of navigate people to the safest places, to the best doctors in the country and around the world. But it's not for everybody, man. And that's why when you called the show and you just seemed initially a little naive about things, and just the way you were talking, I was like, I don't know if this guy's a candidate for surgery. And I'm glad that you did your research and continued to listen to the show and you've moved in this direction, because I just don't think you would have been happy, especially since you were so concerned about taking finasteride. And, it would have been, it may take you a couple of years to kind of come to grips with what you're dealing with right now. But if you had side effects from finasteride, if you didn't have a good transplant, I just didn't think that you were emotionally prepared for it. So I'm kind of glad that you made the decision that you made, and I think you're probably better off not going to the message forums, not reading this stuff, not even, try to find a way to kind of move on. How has your life been since you made this decision?
I got to be honest with you, it's been really good. Like, I've improved, I came to a really logical decision with the whole hair transplant thing. I felt like I was informed and it just, I really felt like I dodged, the fact that I was able to get the information that I was able to get from you, I dodged the bullet of, being sold a bill of goods, and possibly something that I would have just done on hope. Like some people buy shampoo that they say will grow hair back, I don't think I would have got the results that I was looking for. And I would have still be taking finasteride, and I'm not sure that I wanted to do that either. But nevertheless, like I said, I was very comfortable with the fact that of where I stood with my understanding of my options and an acceptance level. But I got to be honest with you, Spencer, I can sit here and tell you that I'm comfortable with shaving my head bald and everything. But the truth of the matter is, having a full head of hair is probably only maybe second to wishing that I had my father back in from the dead.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's how high up on
that's pretty
a level. So I don't think that it would be hard to get a complete acceptance of it. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think we ever completely accept the situation, and that's the thing. But the fact that you're living better right now and you're doing better, I think that's a big step. And Joe Tillman just said that he's got to get out of here. So Joe, I'm gonna let you,
I got a jet. I got a meeting to go to. But Tony, all I gotta say is congratulations. You were able to back off, and you're better for it. I mean, if people can move on without having to really deal with this on a daily basis, like some of the guys in the forums do, then more power to you. I mean, that's fantastic. So I say keep it up.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, Joe, listen, man,
no
thanks for calling in, and then I'll take some more calls. But Joe Tillman, Hassan and Wong, Joe Tronic on the message forums. Joe, thanks for giving us a shot tonight via Skype. Next time we'll make it work.
We'll try it again.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, take care.
Thanks
See
a
you
lot.
guys. Bye.
All right, Tony, man. So I think this is a good call. I think it's important for other people to hear, young guys out there that are just so dead set on having a transplant who might not be candidates for a transplant. You really weren't. Maybe if you're a little older, maybe if you were, 40 and you understood the, entire scope of the situation and the possible issues that might arise and also the limitations, including the fact that it's probably best if you're on finasteride if you're going to have a surgical hair restoration. Maybe you would have, if you made the decision at that age, maybe you'd be like, maybe I would say, okay, you're probably a better candidate. But like I said, when you first called in the first couple of weeks when you were calling in, I was just like, this guy's just not ready. And I'm glad you made the decision. Maybe when you decide, who knows what's going to happen in 5 years, maybe you will be ready. And at least you'll be prepared for whatever happens.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, and you definitely, it's funny because, when I first heard some of the things that, you're talking about, and why, and I wasn't really sure, what the significance was of shedding the light that you shed on some things. But like now, when I look back at some of, of the decisions that I needed to make when I went through, looking at hair transplants, it's like, now every little thing that you were saying really did start to make sense to me with, like even talking about getting a hair piece, which I thought was just ridiculous because I hate them so much. But it's like, getting a hair transplant, it's not just a simple thing. It's surgery. It's major surgery.
It's a lot easier to, glue on a partial hair piece and say, I hate this, and then, take it off and throw it away than to, undergo a surgical procedure. Once you're cut, man, you are cut. There's no turning back. And that's what people, they turn to surgery first because it's your own hair growing. I understand that. It's a more natural process because hair is actually growing out of your head. But I mean, it's cosmetic surgery. It's, a hair piece is a hair piece. It's glue. It's hair basically injected or sewn or whatever into a base that's glued onto your head. It's a simple thing. I tell people, try that first because, they might be able to figure out a way to make it look good and undetectable and live with that. And then if they decide they don't want it later on, they just take it off and that's it. Can't do that with surgery, man. So most people think I'm nuts when I say that because no one wants to wear a hairpiece. But you know what? It's still the most used hair loss treatment and most sold hair loss treatment in the world. Wigs are number one, hairpieces, hair systems. The number one most utilized treatment, quote unquote, for hair loss.
Spencer, it's simple as it's the stigma that surrounds them because I'll think nothing of wearing a hat to frame my face.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's really all we're trying to do with hair, with hair. It's, it's nothing more than to just, pretty much frame your face to show an appearance, so it's just the stigma that goes along with a hairpiece. People look at it as a joke.
They do, but, for some reason, women who are dealing with hair loss, listen, being a woman and dealing with hair loss society doesn't accept it at all. So they don't have a choice. They can't walk around with, and they do to some extent, but with really, diffuse, severe thinning, especially a young woman. It's very tough on them. I do see women who do it, but I would say the vast majority cover it. They wear a hair system, a hair piece, a wig, and if they wear something good, it's undetectable and no one knows. And if you find out, it's almost like they're doing it for a fashion statement. Don't necessarily delve into the situation. And so many women wear hair now, it's just, it's commonplace. So, why is it socially acceptable for women to wear hair and not for guys? It's so hard for me to understand. I mean, I understand it. I understand that's the way our society works, but it shouldn't be that way. If it was socially acceptable for guys to wear good hair pieces, then there'd be a lot less suffering out there.
I couldn't agree more.
So, all right, Tony, listen, man, I really appreciate the call. I'm glad you're doing well. And you know what? Stay off the forums, but, come back to the show on Tuesdays. We love having you.
You know what? I'm gonna, I feel so much better talking to you about it. And, it really is a place to kind of, get some, some compassion and understanding on the subject, man. And, I really appreciate, you doing this so that, I have a place to go to vent this type of information,
All right, man.
But much appreciated.
My pleasure. Take care.
Good night.
888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer. This is Vic from DC.
Hey, Vic. What's happening, man? How are you?
Hey, good. Hey, so I just, I know your show's almost over, but
that's all right.
Things. So I just wanted to let you know I tried this hair loss concealer product called Kabuki.
Kabuki.
Yeah, Kabuki.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I mean, of course, I've never had transplant done, nothing. It's pretty, the hair is in pretty bad shape. It's a Norwood 6, and I've never tried Topic or anything before. But I was looking online, and I thought, all right, let me give this a try. And I gotta tell you, from 5 feet away, when I apply it pretty well, it looks like I have a full head of hair, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
The stuff works. Now, the Kabuki is the fibers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Topic, and there's a whole bunch of different products that are basically the same. For the most part, it comes from the same manufacturer. I'm not sure about Topic though. They may manufacture it themselves. And there's a couple of products that have their own factories, but for the most part, it's the same type of thing, keratin fibers. Yeah. And the only issue with that is unless you have a significant amount of hair, it becomes more obvious. But it's true even with the littlest amount of hair. If you have hair in strategically the right places, you can make it look pretty good. I mean, unless someone is really close up on you, they're not going to tell. If you're like in a club or a bar, people are going to think that's your hair.
I'll tell you what, Spencer. I'll tell you what. I went from Norwood 6 to a Norwood 0, and that was the happiest 24 hours of my life. I took a shower, and I went straight back into depression.
Well, okay, so I don't mean to laugh, but you're laughing. But I mean Norwood 0. So you were able to make it look like. What's your hairline like right now? Do you have a hairline? You must have some hair in your hairline to do that.
It's probably a little bit. It's a few hairs, but then a lot of peach fuzz. So the Kabuki was able to stick. Definitely.
Did you go out that way? Did you test it? Did you test the water, so to speak, wearing it?
You know what? I showed some family and friends, and at first they were like, "What the heck? I didn't even recognize you."
Yeah.
And I was feeling so good. I was cheerful. And then the next day I take a shower. I'm like, "Oh my God, I just put on a mask yesterday."
Yeah, that's what it basically is. But you know what? Every fucking woman in the world puts on a mask. Well, except for, certain countries and tribes and stuff like that. And they put on their own mask. But they put on massive makeup to leave the fucking house. There is not a woman that I have ever met past the age of 13, 14 that is not wearing a mask of makeup on their face.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous. My wife is unique in the fact that she really doesn't wear makeup on her face. She wears some stuff in her eyes, when she goes out.
Mm-hmm.
And she has really awesome skin. She's very lucky. And I don't love that foundation stuff, but most women, and I'm with a lot of old broads now, you know what I mean? I mean, my peers, their wives, and no offense, guys, but they're my age. So you see them in the sunlight, the makeup is caked on.
Oh, yeah.
So, we got to get over that shit, man. You got to get over that stigma, and not just you, but all of us, because, they're wearing push-up bras and slimming underwear and fake nails, and they're spray-on tans and fake whatever, They have clip-in teeth now, which I saw this crazy ad for.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. Basically, you get a woman home today, it's like, what's next? You can take off her leg,
Oh, yeah, you never know.
Yeah, but that's more real. If someone has to wear a prosthesis because they're missing a limb, that's more real than them putting on the pounds of makeup and the fake hair and the fake this. We can't do anything. We're not allowed to help ourselves.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. That is absolutely nuts. And so I just wanted to follow up the first part. Oh, let me just. I love the fact that you're on Tuesday nights now. I feel like I'm calling into, it feels so great that it's on a weekday. I mean, it just feels like I'm calling into something as important as CNN or something like that.
Wow, I appreciate that.
But I got to tell you, okay, so next part is, so I really think that I'm okay, I'm going to get more comfortable with wearing kabuki or topic, whatever I decide to go in the long run. But what I want to do is, of course, I've spoken with you plenty of times on this, is I really think that within the next year I'm going to jump into the seat for FUE.
Okay.
But like you said, do your due diligence, and of course, you've always told me once you're cut, you're cut, and that's literally, you're the sole person that's kept me researching throughout this whole process, because that's important. So thank you again for that. But here's what I've come to conclusion. I was looking on YouTube, and I saw a video from, I think, Dr. Arocha. He's on your IAHRS.
Yeah, sure, Dr. Arocha.
And what I wanted to do is I really wanted to really understand the process of scarring. And he has a video there that basically he says straight out, your FUE is going to leave a punctate-like scar, just like you said, just like Dr. Feller said, just like a lot of these people say. But the thing that confuses me is that there are still a lot of doctors, even on YouTube, who say it's completely scarless. And they run a comb through the donor area, and it does look completely scarless.
Well, if you have hair there, it's gonna look relatively scarless. But if you cut your hair down to a number 1, or decide to shave your head, there's a good chance that you're going to see some markings. Absolutely. But within a half an inch of hair, if it's done properly and if it's not overly over harvested, you're not going to see anything.
Okay.
So that's why they're able to run a comb through the hair. That's the point. I mean, you're not, the spaces aren't going to be visible. However, when you shave straight down, that and that's why I think a lot of the young guys, they think, okay, I'm going to get an FUE in case I want to wear my hair really high and tight or shave it. You can wear it high and tight, but you can't wear it too tight, especially if you have a lot of grafts. Now, there are guys who are there's smaller punches being used. The scarring is much more minimal than it was just a few years ago. I mean, consistently more minimal. But you just have to be prepared to know that it's unlikely you will ever be able to shave your head and be scarless or look like you're scarless, because you're not scarless. That's it.
So, Spencer, one last point. I know your show is almost over. One last point. I want your opinion. I want your view. I want to hear what your view is. A lot of people have been recently speaking quite highly about beard hair, about the fact that it closely resembles scalp hair. The anagen phase is about, they're saying 70 to 80%, almost like, I think scalp hair is 90% or something. And they're saying that it's pretty good. And I want to know what are your thoughts on the scarring in the chin area? Because I know they take a lot of the grafts from right underneath the chin. So what can you tell me? What can you advise, or what would you say about beard hair?
Well, I know that beard hair works, and I think that it can be, depending on your hair characteristics, your beard, pretty good quality hair. Great for underground, for sure. Good for crowns. I'm not a fan of beard hair in the hairline, but I've seen some work that's okay. As far as scarring is concerned, I've seen some scarring from beard hair, but I think for the most part now, there are a handful of guys that are pretty well known online that are doing beard hair on a consistent basis. We have Dr. Prasanga, who's an IHRS member. I know that John Cole is doing beard hair on a consistent basis. There are a few other guys, Mwamba. There is Faraduni. There is
Dr. Yates. Dr. Yates was on your show.
Yeah, Dr. Yates is now doing beard hair consistently, and he seems to be getting results. I don't think Feller's doing it on a regular basis, but he has done it before, and he does do it. But I don't think that he loves doing it. I could be wrong. I have not seen a lot of beard hair work recently from Dr. Feller. But if he's doing beard hair consistently, we haven't talked about it, he's good. So, I mean, I would definitely, maybe see some of his patients. But the scarring seems basically non-existent when the guys are using small enough, instruments. However, I don't know what it looks like when they get, a deep suntan. All I can tell from is what I see online and what these doctors are telling me. The patients themselves seem to be pretty happy. There is a well-known, very vocal poster by the name of Top Cat on Bald Truth Talk and all the other message forums. And I think that he's a good guy to kind of check out. You can check out his chin because he posted online, and he's got a really, really, impressive result. And I know that he went to see Dr. Pasanga. So,
Oh, wow, okay.
and he's a very conservative guy. He's been really fucked by the industry. And, he has a lot of trust in what Pasanga is doing. And frankly, while the results at this point are minimal as far as what a lot of the young guys would, want the wow factor, this cat is happy, that he's doing it slowly. And he really believes that the beard hair has helped him tremendously. So, if you're considering that, he may be a good person to kind of follow online.
Okay. Well,
he's a little dogmatic. He's a little dogmatic about some of the stuff that he puts out there, and obviously I don't agree with everything that he says, and I think he's got a little bit of a hard on for me at times. But I definitely respect what he's trying to do, and I definitely respect the fact that he puts out his information for other people to be helped. So, I think that if you're looking at beard hair, check out his chin because it looks pretty good.
Well, hey, Spencer, thank you so much for your advice. I just want to say goodbye to Joe from Staten Island.
Let me pot Joe up. Oh, shit. Vic, I'm sorry.
Hello?
Vic, I'm sorry, man.
Hello?
I just hung up on Vic. Vic, man.
Am I on?
You're on. I hung up on Vic to pot you up because I wanted you guys to speak to each other. I'm sorry. Vic, I'm so sorry that I hung up on you if you're in the chat. I apologize. If you're not in the chat, you're probably watching or listening to the show. Good luck, man. You're always a great call, and I'm glad that you're kind of, doing your thing. And you know what? Cover-up's not so bad. If you can make it look good, as long as you don't look like a fool when you walk out of that house and you feel good, ask your loved ones, ask your family, ask how you look. I don't see anything wrong with that.
You're saying Vic goes from a Norwood 6 to a Norwood 0?
I'm not saying that. That's what Vic is saying.
How's that possible?
Well, he must have enough hair still left on his head where the keratin fibers are attaching and kind of give him this appearance, illusion of a full head of hair. I've seen some guys who are able to do that. They have enough fuzz where it's like, holy shit, they can really make this stuff work. The slick bald guys, it doesn't work for. But the guys that have enough hair in their head where it may not be aesthetically appreciable, to really comb or to, look like you have a lot of hair in your head. Once you put the stuff in there, it kind of just acts as a, something to attach to, and it works. I've seen some guys that have worked miracles with this stuff.
I see. What stuff's that?
Either Topic or Kabuki or Fullmore or Derm Match, all those products.
Can I just go with two quick things? You give me 2 minutes before. Well, you're on to 10:15. Is that correct?
I'll be on till 7:10.
All right. So a couple quick things, if you don't mind. I have to report Dr. Hitzig has a new video on YouTube. I don't know if you're aware of that. Him and his partner Prasad. Maybe you should have your staff contact him to discuss this. They're now incorporating vitamin D3 into the PRP therapy. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
I heard about it. I didn't see the video, though. So what do you think, Joe?
It's an 18-minute video. I've dissected the whole video.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. And it seemed, he's an intelligent man. Obviously, it seems pretty impressive. Do I think it works? I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, come on. You've had your experiences. And
well, it hasn't. I gotta be honest with you, it hasn't harmed me in any way.
No.
I have lost hair. It hasn't anything bad. It didn't do anything bad to my head, so I can't anything bad. It hasn't really helped. It hasn't made my hair. If my hair would just get longer, it'd be a miracle. But that's the problem. My head is there. It doesn't grow.
Look, I wanted to do my best to give Dr. Hitzik another chance to come on and talk about this stuff. I thought it was only fair for him to be able to speak about ACell and his experience with ACell, since he was really the first to bring it out to anybody and to experiment with it. I have been disappointed with some of the results that I've seen, and I think that things are kind of like negligible. However, I did speak to Jerry Cooley again. He is going to be providing a presentation that we will be posting online. I just have to record his audio for the presentation. And according to Dr. Cooley, there have been some issues with ACell and, maybe some mistakes made in the past, there have been some really impressive results as well. So we're going to see. I'm kind of treading lightly with this because, what happens is when I report on this stuff, when I go out there and say this sounds really amazing, I'm excited about it. I'm not saying that it's working or that it's worked for me, but I'm saying this looks really interesting. This looks like, wow, this could be a game changer. All of a sudden, it becomes the next, the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it's all over the internet. And, in the end, if something doesn't work out for people, then it's like, oh, my God, Kobren is pushing ACell, Kobren is pushing this. I'm not pushing anything. I don't make any money from any of this. I have no interest in pushing any of this stuff. I just try to get the information out to you guys. You guys have to take that information and then do your due diligence. It doesn't work that way. People are just like, they kind of take it at face value, like, wait a second, Kobren's talking about it. It must be real.
Well, you said that's cool. Is he talking about hair cloning and plucking?
He's talking about the use of ACell, in surgical hair restoration and with plucking. And I will get some more information for you guys very soon. I haven't even had a chance to look at his PowerPoint presentation, but I will.
Right. One more quick thing, if you don't mind. Our great friend on the Ball's Truth Talk, our great friend of the show, Arista, great guy, has asked me for you to briefly comment on what Dr. Cole's doing, and can you possibly get an interview with him?
I could get an interview with Dr. Cole. Dr. Cole has not contacted me about it. He actually made a comment to me online, which was wild. I want to put this out there. Dr. Cole is somebody that, as far as his work is concerned, I respect so highly. He has done so much, I think, for the industry, and he is a guy that I've been recommending through the IHRS for over a decade. So I'm proud to be associated with Dr. Cole. But sometimes I don't understand, like, he'll contact me out of the blue. He wrote this online, like, that I am not interested in his ACell work or that I'm not interested in having him on the show. Dude, pick up the phone. I would love to have you on the program. Absolutely. I'll have him on the show. So what I'm going to do for you guys? I will write him tonight or tomorrow. Maybe pick up the phone, call him, ask him to be on the program to talk about what he's doing. Now, Dr. Cole is an extremely vocal guy. He's a very opinionated guy. So it should definitely, be good radio and certainly very interesting. And, my only issue is, I don't want anybody's feelings to get hurt out there. Dr. Cole gets on a rant, forget about it. I'm just kidding, guys. I don't really give a shit about that. It's just a joke.
I've seen one of those recent videos. Arista is one of our most gifted and talented people on the Bull Truth Talk. He's a very intelligent hair loss sufferer. I have to say that.
He is, and I would love if I get Dr. Cole. If Dr. Cole has the time to come on the program, I would love Arista to call in. And look, Cole is a smart dude. He is a thorough guy. This guy is all about researching and developing his techniques and just tools of the trade. I have a lot of respect for the guy. I'm just kind of busting balls a little bit. He busts mine all the time, so I think we're even. But I am certainly interested in having him on, and I'm glad that you reminded me. I'll definitely give him a call.
And one more 30-second brief thing. I want to congratulate our good friend Joe Tillman on the point he made. If there was a cure for hair loss, the world would change overnight. People would divorce their wives. People would mortgage their houses, as you said. The economy of the United States would change. People will be off of disability. People will be back at work. The world would change.
I know that it would, and I don't think that society as a whole really can comprehend that. The
economy would change.
Yes, it would. The economy would change. There'd be more productive people out there. Listen, there's plenty of guys dealing with hair loss and women who are very productive human beings, but there is a subset of guys who, frankly, are like you, Joe. Who are just paralyzed by it to the point where, and listen, I was one of them. There's no doubt I was one of them. I would still be, if my medication stops working, I am, whatever I'm going to have to do, I'll do it. Hair transplants, hair pieces, whatever it is, I'm going to live my life at least looking like I have hair in my head. So that's how it affects me. But when I was very young, I was certainly paralyzed, and the only reason I do what I do is because I had to figure out a fucking way to make a living because I didn't feel like I was functioning well in the workforce because I was so unhappy and so obsessed, if that's the word, or passionate. Well, I guess obsessed about my hair condition, my hair loss. The issue, the having to deal with, getting up early in the morning, going to work, doing my hair, and feeling uncomfortable with myself. And because I was thinking about it so often, it was taking up so much of my time, I decided to do something to, make it my career. So I get it, man, as much or as, more than other people. And I will tell you this, just because I seem calm and cool about it, just because I talk about life after hair loss, I believe that there's life after hair loss. It doesn't mean that I'm still not, to this day, fucked up over it.
Well, Spex, another 30 seconds. In my case, I would, I'm very wealthy, but I would quadruple my income. I'd have a beautiful 25-year-old woman, preferably a post-op transsexual. I'd have beautiful clothing. I'd have a beautiful car. And I'd drive in a convertible. Life would change dramatically for me.
I know it will, Joe. And on that note, man, I'm going to call it a night. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out.
Happy
Joe.
Hanukkah, man.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for remembering Hanukkah. Very nice. Happy holidays to everybody. I'm going to be back next week. So what is next?
But you won't be working Christmas, right?
I will not. I don't think I'm going to be working Christmas because, it is a common law's holiday. So I'll probably be with her family. But there's a good, I don't know. I'll see. I'll see how I feel on New Year's Day. If I'm not too hungover.
My wife said.
Yeah, go ahead.
My wife is actually to take off. She feels that the bold truth should not be on a Christmas Day or New Year's Day. She feels that you deserve a respite, Spencer.
Well, thank you. I'll tell Phyllis I appreciate that, but we will see. I may end up doing something on New Year's Day.
Well, she's banned me from the show on New Year's because we have, people coming over. I'll be in my room, but, I won't be comfortable doing the show and people knocking on my door every 5 minutes.
Well, I certainly understand that, so don't worry about it. Maybe we'll play best of. But I wanted to let everyone know that the Bald Truth UK does start on January the 6th, 8 p.m. GMT time, which is UK time, and that is 12 noon. Here on the West Coast, 3 p.m. On the East Coast, and it'll be every Sunday night. And it's great. We're back on the air Sundays. I think it's a great night to start the new broadcast. We have, interestingly enough, we're starting off with some pretty big UK celebrity guests. So I think the show is going to be a real powerhouse in the United Kingdom and in Europe, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm glad that I'll be working on the show with Spencer Stevenson, Spex. He's going to be basically my UK sidekick. We set up a studio in London for Spex, and all systems go. We're very excited about it. So that's the ball.
Spencer, you have a UK sidekick. Who's your US sidekick, man? You need a US sidekick. I really think so.
You are my US sidekick, dude. But you won't get your.
Oh my God! I was waiting for so long for you to say those words, man.
But you wouldn't. You won't get yourself on video. So what do you want me to do?
Oh God! You made my life successful. Thank you so much. I've been waiting for you to say that, man, for years. Thank you, man. You made my Christmas merry, man.
Joe, Merry Christmas, man.
I'm sorry, man.
Merry Christmas, dude.
I'm sorry, Spencer. Thank you so much.
No pressure on me, guys. Now there's no pressure.
Oh my God. I'm gonna play this with my wife when you put it up there. Thank you. I love you, man.
All right, Joe. Joe.
I'm sorry, man.
Have a good night, Joe.
I can't.
Have a good night, all right?
Thank you for making my Christmas a little merrier, man.
All right. Merry Christmas, Joe.
I love you. You are the greatest.
I don't know what to say at this point. All right, guys. So, yeah, Fall Truth UK on January 6th, 8 p.m. in the UK, 12 noon here on the West Coast, and 3 p.m. on the East Coast. It's going to be a little bit different than this Bald Truth. So I think it's going to be interesting for all the guys in the U.S. who want to check it out. Listen, you're obviously welcome to call in to be a part of it. And Joe, by the way, I already told Joe. Joe can call in, absolutely, but he cannot. And Joe, I'm going to pot you up. You cannot try to monopolize the show. It's not going to happen.
No, I'll call in for about a 60-second phone call. Would that be okay?
Absolutely, Joe.
Well, but just have your staff please give me the number I should call so I know what number I can call. I should be your first call on the show. For good luck, Spencer.
We're going to give you...
was back in 1998.
We'll give you the number. I don't know how lucky that was, Joe, but yeah, we'll give you the number anyway.
I think it's pretty lucky, man. You're on the air 14 years, man. You must be, your ratings are going through the roof.
I appreciate that, Joe. I'm going to pot you down. Guys, let me go out the website. It's thebaldtruth.com, of course. If you want to check out the message forum, interact with other hair loss sufferers, check out baldtruthtalk.com, AmericanHairLossAssociation.org for the American Hair Loss Association. And if you're considering surgical hair restoration, please do yourself a favor. Check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, IAHRS.org. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Thank you.